I'm glad everybody's here. Thanks for coming. We wanted to provide you some hospitality and thank you guys for all the great articles and great coverage you provided our team last year, and shed a lot of light on a great bunch of kids, and just celebrated what those guys did. And so appreciate your support and your following, and we're looking forward to another exciting year. And from there, you guys take it away.
Talk about the youth of your team.
The youth of our team, we've got a nice group of kids in their first year with us, and I think they've all adjusted well. Summer school provides the freshmen with a little bit of a head start in terms of adjusting to campus life and academics, and I think it allows them to get into the fall semester and be more in the moment. And many of them had, I think, productive falls, and been excited to see the nice growth in them since they've returned after Christmas break. So I think the youth of the program is good, and it's exciting to see the way they're welcomed in by the returning players. And I'm excited about what those kids can do, not only for this year's team, but for many years to come.
The departure amount of leadership from last year's squad, who do you hope, who do you want to see step up in that leadership role now this year?
Oh, I think it's exciting to watch how kids evolve. So many great moments and experiences that we had last year have led to some of the returning players being more confident and being more willing to step forward and embracing the chance to lead. And I think you see it every single day. Garrett Benj is an everyday player that shows up, loves baseball, very inclusive kid. There's a core of older players that have been around here for a long time that they show up to the field every day. Buffetts and Cobbs and Sluters and Dustin Williams and all these kids that have played here now that know what it takes every day in terms of the work ethic, the routine, the energy, the ability to bounce back from one day's work that didn't go so well, only to show up the next day and be ready to go again. So through your performance, through the way you work at the game, through the way you treat your teammates, the example you set off the field about doing all the things right, we've had great leadership from many kids to this point that's helped this team start to form its identity. So, when you start playing the games, that's when you take on a different type of leadership that you're speaking on, that you can see visibly from the stands and how your team plays. But to this point in the year, I've seen a number of kids just be a great example of what it takes on a daily basis to be successful, and that extends in all areas of these guys' lives. We only get them for 4 hours a day. What they're doing in school, the other 4 hours, what they're doing away from the field, the other 4 hours, and then obviously get their rest and wake up and do it all over again. But I'm pleased with the group. We still have a long way to go, but we're making good steps each day, and that's all you can really ask them to do is show up here ready to grow this team with this group of people and start to work their way into those roles, and we'll see what happens.
With those guys coming back, having been to Omaha, having excelled and got to the point they did with last season, can you tell a different hunger, a different determination to get back to that point and take it further, or not?
Well, I sense a real focus in all the kids, that's for sure. I think when one season ends and the journey for the next season begins, you don't spend a whole lot of time reflecting back on the previous season. I think what you do is you dive into what we need to accomplish today, and I see players working on making adjustments to their swings and adding new pitches and getting stronger and becoming more durable and all those things that I think one great season teaches you. Yes, this was successful, but in order for us to grow and for me individually to get better, I have to get better in these areas. And I see kids attacking those areas, and I see them doing it with some clarity and some real conviction. So I think what you take from previous seasons is those lessons, and then the way in which you go about working on and moving ahead. I think that's where that motivation factor or that desire to elevate your own performance for the good of our team, that's where you see that in the kids. And I've certainly seen that, as you said. But it's not something that, you walk around talking about. It's not something that really can do you a whole lot of good in the now, as much as just know in order to play that type of baseball again, there's many, many things that we have to do as a group before that can happen.
9 days out, how have the roles on that pitching staff kind of been ironed out over the last few weeks?
We've had 3 excellent scrimmages in a row. The last 3 days have been really, really positive for our team. I was super impressed by the way the team went about it. We threw the ball good, swung the bat pretty good at times. So I think going through this upcoming weekend where we'll scrimmage again 3 more times, then we'll have a better idea of how that first weekend will line up, and Rob will start to kind of put guys in order. But, we've got some comfort in knowing that Tyler Buffett and Jensen Elliott are very dependable, established, quality starters. We've seen that. We got a number of other candidates that could start game 3 and 4 on that first trip. I've been really proud of Carson Teal and the great strides he's made as a performer. He's throwing the ball great. Joe Lenhart could start a game. We got a number of guys. Blake Battenfield, a veteran who's throwing the ball really good. I'm really excited to see the season he's going to have. I think he's going to do a great job. We've got a lot of guys that could start games 3 and 4. So we'll line them up once we get through the weekend, see how everybody feels, put a bullpen together that allows us to navigate the middle and late innings. And we'll be ready to go. But I'm really pleased with the way the team is progressing, and I'm excited about the potential of many different guys in getting chances that first week.
Has the good weather been a real positive for the program in terms of evaluating kids and getting kids, time, and has that been a real
You said the weather? The good weather. Oh yeah, it's great. Yesterday was hot. It was beautiful. So yeah, we've been very fortunate to get outside a great deal, and we've certainly taken advantage of it. So yes, we're on schedule. I feel comfortable that we're on schedule. We're in good shape. We're getting outside as much as we need to. We're accumulating at bats, which is important, and we're getting pitchers slowly stretched out so that they can be healthy for the long haul and not overdoing it right out of the chute. I think you got to be very disciplined as a coach and coaching staff to just get your kids ready, which I think Rob does an amazing job of knowing where their arms are at, how to get those kids ready to pitch come opening weekend. So I feel good about the preparation so far.
Short and second catcher, big positions that do people have to step up.
Yeah, I think that, as Rex said, shortstop, second base, catcher, the middle of your field. We had such a luxury of having a constant in Donovan for 4 years, whether it be at second base and shortstop. But if you think back to Donnie's junior year when he got injured with his hamate, Jacob Chappell jumped in there and for 20 games, held down the shortstop position and played it well. And I'm really excited about watching Jacob take that job this year and go out there, play high-level defense. He's a stronger player now. He's more physical. He's got great legs, great range, great wheels. He's swinging the bat better. So I'm very confident that Jacob can play the shortstop position and play it well. I really believe in him. And he had a great mentor in Donnie to watch play and kind of pick up on some of the smaller pieces of the game that I think he now really appreciates. And then second base, we've got 3 kids that are playing a lot of second base. Andrew Rosa, Cameron Dobbs, and Ryan Cash. All 3 bring something different to the table. Whoever's at second, the other 2 will provide depth at both second and short. So we've still got a lot of great practice days and moments ahead of us for that second base job to, kind of solidify itself. But I'm comfortable with the progress we've made there. We went into last year not really knowing that J.R. Davis was going to be the player that he became. And about 7 or 8 games in, J.R. Played his way onto the field and ended up being one heck of a player for us. So I like the progress we're making. I like where all 3 of the kids that are taking reps at second base are at. When it comes to catcher, tough act to follow last year. I think Colin Thoreau was as good a defender, leader, communicator as we could have hoped for, especially in his first year in our program. That kid walked in here and caught an excellent pitching staff, committed to the defensive side of the ball, hit some clutch homers for us, and really was an Iron Man back there. So we'll be a new look behind the plate, but I think we have 3 kids. Travis Wacker, a JC kid who can really defend. Michael Newsifter, a talented freshman that I think has high-end offensive ability. And Colin Simpson, a kid who was out last year with an injury. He's showing signs of returning to health. And those 3 kids all do something well. And I think they'll all get chances to get in there and help us win games. So still working through who's going to hold down a vast majority of the innings. I think you'll see multiple players get opportunities early on as we give guys chances to go out there and compete. But I like those kids. I feel good about all of them. And, we went out and recruited those boys. We see something in them that we know can play at a high level, and now it's an opportunity to go out there and see who can do it.
Is there a timeline or a target date for the return of Trey Cobb?
No, Trey's just working his way back to health right now. No hard dates or timelines. He'll stay in contact and get his checkups, and whenever he's back healthy, we'll see him on the field. But until then, his innings will be open for other guys to get opportunities. And sometimes through injuries, new guys are revealed that come to the forefront. So we're looking at it as a chance for other guys to get on the mound early, with the idea of Trey coming back to us later, and then hopefully having a deeper, more well-rounded pitching staff as a result of it.
How do you see that outfield lining up?
Oh, I think right now the three veteran kids, Littell, Sluter, and McCain have won the three jobs going into this. I like what some of our new additions can bring to that outfield picture. I'm encouraged by the talent of young guys like Boone and Cabanis. Those kids have really high-end future. Great throwing arms, strong physical kids. They're just working at the game every day. I love their intensity and enthusiasm for the game. Watching them evolve has been fun. They've got a real upside to them. And Bryce Fisher, a kid from Cali County, who's a nice left-handed bat that we think complements that group. So we got 6 quality guys in the outfield, guys that we know can do some things. We've got some speed, some power, and it's always exciting to see, through opportunities early in the year, how guys grow from one year to the next. I think our 3 returning kids are all better players than they were a year ago, and I'm very confident in those kids. They'll go out and play well. But we do have some other guys that can help us, whether it's through the DH role or platooning, trying to get an extra left-handed bat in there. We have some options. So I'm pleased with all those kids.
Luder's a guy who probably didn't have the season he wanted to last year. How have you noticed him improve over the last year or so?
Sure. Well, Ryan's worked at it, that's for sure. He got nicked up last year. He broke his finger, and that kind of put him on the shelf for about 3 weeks, and then he jumped back in there and never quite caught that second wind, if you will. His rhythm didn't quite come back to him, but I give him a lot of credit. He had a big home run at South Carolina to kind of get us going there, and that was not an easy environment to kind of crack the egg, if you will. And then he played excellent defense, and so even though numerically, offensively, it wasn't a great year, I still appreciate the effort as a baseball player that he provided. And as a senior, he's strong. He's working hard. His leadership skills have improved. I'm really proud of where he's at. So I would think that you're going to see a player that I think has his best season in this uniform this year.
Littell seemed to finally find kind of a groove in that run in the postseason for you guys. How have you seen him building off of that and getting that momentum going here this season?
Yeah, John played real good down the stretch last year. I agree with that. A lot of big hits. Was a more confident player in the batter's box. He went off and had a good summer in Cape Cod, which that league has an amazing way of speeding you up as a player because the competition is so good. It forces you to speed up your growth curve a little bit, and I thought he came back confident. His work ethic has always been exceptional. He's just an older, more mature, stronger version of himself, a better version of himself because of how hard he works, and he's ready to go out and play well. I know that, and I think he feels the same way. So I think John's in a good spot, real good spot.
Personnel's different every year, Josh. With the guys you got, what you've seen. I mean, do you see more speed or power, or how do you kind of envision this thing coming together with the tools that you have?
It's a little bit of everything. There's some good foot speed. I think our lineup, for the most part, will have a solid collection of runners. A couple spots will run real well. There's going to be some size and strength in there, so the ability to hit some balls over the fence I certainly think is in play. I think as always the key is to be well-rounded and be able to win in different ways. We saw days where you're going to need to win 10-9, and there's going to be days you got to win 1-0. And so we want to be able to play the short game when necessary. Certain pitchers and certain elements will force us to go base to base and move runners and be fundamental. And some days we're going to have to open it up and drive some balls out of the park. And I think we've shown in the early part of the scrimmages that there's that potential there. But I don't know that we're like heavily defined by one element of the game. I would hope that our vision of ourselves be a well-rounded team, and from there, I think maybe you find your groove or your go-to as you get into the season. I've always felt like the beginning of the season and the end of the season, because of the energy and the nerves, the excitement of starting the season, or some of the excitement of postseason, you really need to be fundamentally sound at those times and be able to play fundamental baseball, station-to-station baseball. And then somewhere in the middle of the season, it seems like kids relax and they find a rhythm and the weather warms up, and then you see a lot of those big scores, right? You see the 13-11s on a Sunday, but you don't normally see that right out of the gate, and you don't normally see that at the end. And so I think we need to be a team that can go out and win a game in many different ways, play great defense. We're going to pitch it, and then be able to score in kind of whatever way necessary, depending on who's on the mound that day. So we've not tried to recruit to one singular style of play as much as we've tried to recruit a good, balanced team that we think is built to win at the end. So I'm excited to see what we evolve into. We're still very much a team that each and every day we're working to get better. And so but yeah, to say we're a power team or a speed team or any of that, I couldn't tell you that yet. I hope to think that we're balanced in many areas.
You mentioned the word recruiting, and it's unusual to ask a question about that this time of year for the next class.
Okay.
But I saw in the newspaper 3 guys that have pledged their allegiance to your program have all been listed first-team All-Americans by one source. All of them were at the Under Armour All-American game at Wrigley last year. How much impact did the appearance in Omaha, the long stay up there, you think play out with your recruiting? And did you notice a different receptance when you contacted recruits after Omaha?
Well, interestingly enough, the kids that you're talking about going to their senior years, those kids committed here 2.5 years ago. So their confidence and trust in what was going on here was formed quite a while ago, and that's exciting because those kids trusted a vision that we had for what we think Cowboy baseball can become and want it to be, and recruiting's at a different pace for our sport. It's happening younger and younger. So I think last year's team's exposure is probably going to show up more in the way we're viewed by current 9th graders and sophomores, because those are the kids that are actually observing and forming their opinions about your program, whereas a vast majority of juniors and seniors have already made up their minds. So it's an interesting cycle of how that impacts your program. I hope that kids see the way we play and say, I want to be part of that group because that's a real team, and they play hard and they play well and they like to play, and they play in a way and have a culture there that I want to be a part of. And so it certainly has to help you, I would think, right? But I think we're recruiting competitively. We feel like we have an unbelievable situation here to bring guys into and develop them as people and players, and we're very excited about the future.
How's that mental block of Omaha? And I guess, like, since you've already broken that last year, do you have to sort of re-break that again this year, or does it once it's broken, does it just stay there? Like, we can do this.
Well, it's not a mental block for us. It's an end destination that you can't start looking towards. You have to get back into improving every single day. I'm really proud of the way our teams have grown as the season's gone on every year. That's an important quality to have as a program, is to play your best at the end and to see the improvement and emergence of players throughout the course of a season. That can only happen if you're in the moment and you're training to get better each day. As far as looking ahead and talking about the end of the season or any of those things, we really never do that. It's understood if you play college baseball in a good program where you want to end up. I think everybody knows that, so we don't even talk about it. Throwing it on T-shirts and making slogans, I think that's garbage. I think that's a pretender's mentality. You get there by working every single day and playing it like it's your last. And if your team comes together with the spirit and all the things it requires through a long season, then you might find yourself there. And that's really our mentality. We're trying to win each day as it comes to us, do the best we can with it, and build that day after day after day with the idea that that's how you get where you're trying to go. So we never have talked about it. Are people aware of it? Sure, they are. But the tone that we set and the thing we focus on is, let's get better today. And that's the only way I know to approach the great challenge that is a competitive season. So we're not going to see it thrown on the wall or talked about. But our guys sure know when they get better each day, they feel good about what they're doing. And when we do that as a team, we feel good about ourselves.
Not only was Donnie your starting shortstop, he was your everyday 3-hitter. Who do you see filling that role?
Yep. I think Garrett Benj is primed to hit in the 3-hole. He has the box presence and the persona and the consistency about himself to do that. I feel very comfortable that he's ready to handle hitting third. And the thing about a batting order is you're only in that slot the first time through, and then from there it's about having good at bats and unifying the group to where they play their best offense together. So putting players in positions in the lineup where this player complements this player because he can do this. And if this guy gets on, he might get this guy more fastballs to hit because he can run. And you try to build a lineup that is sensible, that clicks, that makes for offense up and down the lineup. So, the first time you go through the order, yeah, you got a leadoff hitter and yeah, you got a 3-hole hitter. But once you break the ice and get through it, it's how can we put good offense together every single inning, and how does each player set the table, move guys around, get together, really to where it's a unit, right? And so, but I think Garrett Benj, in your traditional sense, is our 3-hole hitter. He hit righties and lefties both a year ago. He hits well with runners in scoring position. He was consistent. He did a lot of things that say this guy has the temperament and the heartbeat to hit in the middle of the order. And in that 3-hole, where for whatever reason in baseball, when you hit third, it's kind of that, hey, that's our best hitter, if you will. So I think Garrett, returning from last year, fits that mold.
Coach Holliday, are there one or two youngsters, younger players that have intrigued you, and you might be willing to share their names of guys you're just kind of sitting back and just saying, I really want to watch this kid and see how he develops, and he's got a chance of, are there somebody that's just really caught your eye that you think might be really, really good?
Sure, yeah. I get excited about all these kids every day. Some of it's a little further along because they might be closer to that, but I would say on the mound, young guys, you're going to see Parker Scott early on. Talented young left-handed pitcher. He excites me every time he throws the ball. Jonathan Heasley's a young arm. You're going to see early on. He excites me. He's got a real exciting fastball, breaking ball combination and aggression about him that I think is powerful. Position players you'll see early on. You'll see Michael Newsifter early on at catcher and maybe some third base DH. You'll see Cameron Dobbs and Ryan Cash early on the infield getting opportunities to contribute to us. And you'll see another wave of young players that are on the come. They're going to be ready to jump in on this thing pretty quick as well. So I see all that coming. With freshmen, you have to stay patient. You have to stay positive, and yet you have to pick the right time to insert them in there so that you can get them involved. And then from there, bring them along. So, yeah, we're excited about that opportunity to incorporate new faces, but also to do it in a way that allows them to be successful. And they'll usually let you know when they're ready. They'll let you know in the way they handle themselves each day. The consistency of their personality starts to streamline a little bit. And then a kid is emotionally ready to compete. And there's several that I didn't even mention that excite me each day. So we just got to stay with those kids, keep believing in them, keep building them up. That's what we do. That's our pride, is to get the most out of each player. And with that comes patience. And with that also comes the opportunity to get a chance to succeed or fail and then bounce back from it. So, yeah, I'm excited about the young kids in our program for sure.
How comforting is it for you as a coach to have some depth and some versatility throughout your roster?
Yeah, it's important, right? Obviously, with Trey being a little bit banged up going into the year, then your pitching depth right away comes into play, and we feel good about that. And we do all across the roster. We brought these kids here because we think they can play. And when one man goes down or you need some flexibility or versatility, that's when you tap into some other guy's talent. So do you ever have a roster that's perfect? I don't know if you ever have a perfect roster, but I think your roster needs to have depth at the right positions. We all know in a long season you're going to have some nicks and some bruises and some things that put a guy down for a while. So you recruit accordingly to build depth in all places. And we go into this thing, just like anyone else, ready to go and hope to get everybody healthy and involved at some point.
Josh, your thoughts on how the schedule finalized and open up Big 12 play at TCU?
That's a great way to open, that's for sure. I think they've preseason #1 team in every poll, I believe, and I think that's probably deserved, to be honest with you. They have an exceptional team coming back from a year ago, some real great individual players, but a strong run of team success there, and should be a great matchup. Hopefully put Big 12 baseball center stage that particular weekend as we keep working to make it known across the country Big 12 baseball is outstanding. And I think with 3 teams in Omaha last year, I think that message might have started to work its way into more and more circles.
Now that you've seen Omaha, does that change any way of how you build your team as far as recruiting or how you coach to it?
Yeah, it's an interesting place to try to score. It's beautiful. It's a great ballpark. The wind predominantly comes straight in. I don't know that you can really hit it over the fence in the middle of the field. You can maybe hit it out down the line. I think you got to run the bases exceptionally well. And I think your ability to cover those gaps and cut off singles showed up in many, many instances while we were there. So it's a different feel. You feel like the outfield's playing tight because they know they can go back on the ball with the wind blowing in. So I think from an offensive standpoint, you don't want to hit a lot of empty fly balls. I think you need to be incredibly, incredibly competitive at home plate and never give away an at-bat, because one run's probably going to win you a championship game. And so to become an excellent one-run baseball team that finds many different ways to score is probably the takeaway that I had last year coming home.
What led you and Rob to believe that Jensen Elliott could start as a true freshman and have the success that he ended up having?
Rob believed that when he was a sophomore, junior in high school when he committed to us. He saw him pitch, and he said, this kid's a stud. He can really pitch. He has great command of the ball. Loved him, knew he was special right away. He saw it in him the first time he saw him pitch. And so the vision for him being ready to come in and do some things, it showed right away. He had a presence about him, a maturity about him. Obviously has great size, but he has remarkable command of the ball, and he has multiple pitches he throws for strikes. He fields his position really, really well, and just had a ton of great ingredients that would make you think that this kid's going to be really good.
Coach, how much do you value your left-handed pitchers? You talked about Scott getting some time early, Teal added a couple new players, transfer Heron. How much does left-handed pitching impact you?
It's nice to have both right and left-hand pitchers, especially when you face lineups that have some really, really potent left-handed hitters. It's typically a tougher look for a lefty to stay on the ball going away from him. So to be able to bring some guys out of that bullpen and run the ball away from him might neutralize their power a little bit. Also might neutralize the running game a little bit. And when you play certain teams that can really run or have great left-handed hitters, if you're predominantly right-handed, they can be tough to stop. And so we like the ability to make a tough left-hand hitter face a lefty late in the game. We like the ability to try to control the running game and neutralize a team's power by having a lefty or two in that rotation. So balance is key, and it's a great question. We weren't particularly deep in left-handed pitching a year ago, so we've recruited to have a little bit more right and left balance.
Is the OU-OSU game outside the Big 12 series on solid footing?
Yes. It is. Yeah, it's on the schedule year in, year out. The fourth game or the non-conference game goes back and forth to Stillwater and Norman every other year. Yeah, it's on solid footing.
I think that's a nice addition.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, to see a conference opponent prior to the weekend series, it's kind of like an appetizer for the meal, if you will, and you get prepared a little bit and go play it, and then when it comes back around a month or so later, you've got some familiarity with that team. So yeah, it's proven to be I think a good thing. I don't care for 5 of them, where we had the home and home non-conference and then the 3, and then you run the risk in the conference tournament of playing each other 2 or 3 times, and you've played one team 7 or 8 times in one season. I'm not for that. Neither's Coach Hughes. But I think the way we're doing it now, I think it works, and it gives both campuses every other year a chance to look forward to that Bedlam game, which I think is a good thing.
Any toy dinosaurs make it into the locker room yet?
Not yet. I don't think so. I think for little things like that come about after your first or second road trip, when you get a chance to be together and really start to get to know one another and have some moments away from home. And our first road trip will be a great way to start. We go out and play a very good Grand Canyon team in what should be great weather, and then we get a chance to stick around and play Arizona State, which we really wanted to do, to be on the road and play really good competition and bring our teams just our overall intensity level, our overall appreciation for where we're at as a group, so that we know coming home what we've got to really dial into if we want to be the team that we envision ourselves being. So playing good teams on the road early in the year is a great way to start that process. As we saw last year, it was a painful way to start it, but the run our team made last year would not have been possible if not for the lessons learned early in the season and the ability to go on the road and beat an ACC team or an SEC team in their home park we grew into that team, but we weren't at the beginning of the year. So I like the idea of every year trying to play the best teams out there that would play us so that it can speed up our growth and create some reference points inside of our locker room.
Last year it seemed like a sort of a brilliant trait to have where you had Donnie, Connor, and Corey who were all sort of the leaders of the team, but they sort of doubled as good friends, you know.
Yeah.
So I guess who have you seen come together as the leaders, and what's the camaraderie been like so far?
Well, that's a great point. Those kids had you're talking about 3 kids that had played here for 4 years together. So that's a lot of common moments. And that's a thing across your locker room where the investment of the group and what they've put into this program makes it incredibly difficult to take it away from them. And what I mean by take it away from them, I mean take them out of that uniform, And so their resolve to extend our season, their love for playing together, the sacrifices those kids made to come back for their senior year and not turn professional, they were as invested in this program as you can possibly be. You look at this year's team. Tyler Buffett turns down being drafted, Trey Cobb, Dustin Williams. It goes across the board once again. A number of kids are highly invested in playing baseball at Oklahoma State. From there, you just let them grow together. And there's a lot of great relationships in that room, and there's a lot of kids that love this place. And every year a new guy or two emerges that you didn't see coming. And last year we had great leadership emerge from a guy like Thomas Hatch, who the year before didn't pitch. And a kid like Corey Hassel goes from a really good program player to a fierce leader on the field. So you just enjoy the chance to play the season because of what the players do with the opportunities, and it's the fun in it. To see who emerges each and every year. And there's a pretty nice run of kids right here jumping on this All-American board, and I'm not sure anyone saw those coming either. So the belief in the player, the belief in our ability to go out there this year and take an opportunity and run with it, and that's the optimism that every team has going into this thing.
You mentioned that board. The last 4 guys were the year before, like you said, either didn't play or injured or anything like that. Who's that one person that you feel that we don't know about right now that could potentially be that guy on the list?
Don't know. That's why it'll be so fun to see. I think that outstanding performance is sometimes nothing more than a moment in time when a player discovers something about his game, and because he worked so hard to figure it out in the first place, he holds on to it, and then he carries it through the year. And sometimes it's a bit of confidence. Sometimes it's an adjustment physically. Sometimes it's just an opportunity to bust in there and get your chance. I don't know, and to think that every year a true first-team All-American is just going to come out of the woodwork, probably a little bit foolish. But all I want to see is each kid find his personal best. I want to see each kid find in him the best baseball he can play, and across the board try to help pull that out of each player. That's what we do each day. That's our goal for the kids, and if we do that, our team will be successful. So, again, we don't look down the road much. What can we do today to make that happen? Go to sleep, wake up the next day. What can we do today to get the most out of each kid? Those are the questions that we talk about each morning in the office, and then go out in the afternoon and enjoy trying to make that happen with them. Take
a page from Gundy. Does that make you a good coach or a good evaluator in recruiting?
I have to think about that. Okay. I think I heard Coach Gundy's response on that. I think recruiting's fascinating. I think what we're all trying to find is which of these athletes have that trait in them where they want to be great. There's many of them that can throw hard, run fast, and swing, all those things. But what we're all trying to find is, does this kid have that personal quality that while he's on this campus, he will every single day wake up and try to be his best? If you find that, then that's when the players emerge. And so, yeah, we spent a lot of time in recruiting trying to identify makeup. What is this kid really all about? How much does he love this challenge? How committed to a team is he? Has he won before? Does he know what winning takes? Does he have a couple state championship rings in another sport? Do he'll reflect back on those moments and use them when things get tough here? Or the opposite, where the first time things don't go well, will he know how to handle it? So we're looking for makeup, we're looking for talent, and then put that young man in a position to be successful. So I think all coaches are trying to find kind of that magic button in each player, and you just got to know that it's in there.
As the way summer ball has shifted to more tournament teams as opposed to your American Legion teams playing 60 games this summer, has that made it harder to identify the kids that truly love the team element of the game?
I think you can still learn a lot about players and how they're wired from their teachers who see them in the classroom setting, who see them on their high school campuses with their peers, from their coaches in other sports that have observed them in a different setting. We have tremendous respect and value for their high school coaches who watch how that player interacts with his teammates and his peers and have known him for 2, 3, and in some cases 4 years, or even watched him grow up. And then also to see the people that have maybe come to know the kid in recent summers with the summer ball experience, because it is such a part of amateur baseball now. And it's a good part of amateur baseball, but it's just so you're trying to gain information on kids from all people that know them. But one thing's for sure, our guys are here to go to school. They're here to play ball. They're here to be good people, and they're here to do that in a team setting. And so guys that have leadership qualities that have presented themselves in a team setting, that's an incredibly valuable thing to know and have in your program. So we value all of those things, but we certainly enjoy watching a kid play for a state championship. That's an exciting thing to see a kid perform in that setting.
Steady in progress?
Yeah, we're doing really good. We've had great support since day one. I mean, 4 years ago, and the support's always been great. The things that we had to do to build the program and build our coaching staff and treat our players the way we felt like they needed to be treated to grow this program has been there from day one, and the energy behind our stadium plan has continued to grow. And it's important to not only us as a baseball program, but to our athletic department. And I know Coach Holder and the guys up the street, they care deeply about baseball, and we've made nice progress with it. And whenever that progress is kind of wrapped up, we'll let you know. But the energy for baseball and the long-term plan for OSU baseball has never been better.
The hardcore people have been winning for a long time. Are you starting to see people outside the inner circle asking, looking more for?
I just think in a project where you're trying to build a state-of-the-art facility, especially a large one, it's just a big project, and it just takes time. And I mean, I don't know of a place that has a more amazing group of core contributors and boosters in our school. The year in, year out consistency that people support us in all sports is awesome. I mean, you look at all the different sports on our campus and the great venues and the success of so many teams, that's a real strong statement about Oklahoma State.